A pleasant afternoon to everyone, most especially to our beloved professor, Ms. Jessa Salades. And welcome to THE 221, Household Resource Management. By the way, I am Carla Navarro, the first discussant for today. Good day! Hello, learning buddies! In today's discussion, we will learn about the system approach in management, management and its environment as a system, functions of manager, and positive homemaking. Furthermore, there are some tasks that you need to accomplish so that you will grasp the gist of this topic. Okay, the first activity that you are going to accomplish is what we call dagna ako. What you are going to do is you have to arrange the jumbled words appropriately. And if you want 5 points for this activity, of course, just comment your answers in the chat box. Okay? Am I clear? Okay, let's proceed. For today's topic, the content of our discussion are, first, we have here the system's approach to management, the management and its environment as a system, functions of manager, and the fundamentals of positive homemaking. And as you go through this lesson, you are expected to first explain the conceptual framework of management systems approach, second, discuss the family as the managerial unit, third, examine the environment surrounding the family management and changes in environment. Fourth, discuss the functions of manager in positive homemaking. And lastly, describe the rules and responsibilities of homemaker. Well, as already discussed in previous lesson, home management is concerned with the use of resources for the family activities. Management is essential because the resources are scarce. Management is recognized as an important discipline based on the human behavior and applicable to many different fields, including the family. Home management is a process which can be learned. According to Rhoda Kotzen, the philosopher, classified the family resource management as a practical sciences rather than theoretical science. In practical sciences, one adopts their knowledge to individual variations and can be modified according to the situations of the individual family. Since management is action-oriented, one should develop the abilities needed to manage. And defining the goal clearly is one of the important steps in management. In simple terms, home management is somehow a family working together for a common purposes, such as plan of action, helping and sharing responsibilities to have a well-organized living. And the concept of this home management is somehow to provide or to have a proper or maintaining necessity of household activities and able to adopt an effective or efficient running household. So, we have here the conceptual framework of management, and let us know what is this conceptual framework of management all about. Conceptual framework is referred to the specific cluster of concepts of management in a given situation. This conceptual framework can be judged in terms of its scope, logical, and the degree to which it stimulates further work. The major reasons given by Gross, Crandall, and Knoll for system approach as the conceptual framework are, of course, management is not an isolated activity. Why? Because it implies the presence of planning, it implies the presence of organizing and exploring things. The system approach highlights the interrelationships, interdependence, and interaction with real world. System approach is somehow a management perspective, which is truly advocates that any firm problem or business problem should be seen as a system as a whole. Furthermore, systems approach makes it possible to focus on individual component without losing sight of the totality. This system approach somehow provides a conceptual basis as well as what we call this one guidelines to establish a more efficient system, most especially sa pagpaplano, sa pag-organize, directing, and also controlling. Because somehow, this is the way that an organization or a business can be organized and work efficiently as possible. So, in simply as saying, this what we call conceptual frameworks covered by the application of processes, procedures, functional approach that can actually used for problem resolutions. That is somehow very essential, very important to fit the action towards the problem and also enable to have an organized idea. So, for us to know The content of this system approach to management, it will be discussed by the next discussion.
Good day everyone, I am Lee Michelangelo D. PARBA and I am going to tackle the systems approach to management. So systems approach is one of the modern approaches of the management process. So it advocates the concept that every management or any business problems should be seen as a whole and not by parts or by subsystems lang. So a system is a set of interdependent subsystems, meaning these are subsystems making out a connection or relatedness within each other, making these subsystems a whole. So this approach emphasizes the concepts of holism and integrated approach. So according to Tripathi and Reddy of year 1983, the following are the key concepts of this approach. The first one is a system is a set of interdependent parts. As I have said earlier, these subsystems interact with each other. So all parts together form one whole unit that performs some function. In general, an organization is a subsystem composed of four independent parts, namely the task, the structure, the people, and technology. So the first is the task. So it refers to the main purpose of the organization. Kumbaga, the task is the reason why there is an organization. Syempre, you can't build an organization if you do not have any single purpose or task. The second one is the structure. It refers to the formal division of authority and responsibility, communication channels, and workflow. So kini diri na mahulog ang pagtunga-tunga sa responsibilidad. Kung mag-base na sa family, example of this is like karong adlaw si mama mag kay tiglabas sa sanina, si papa tigkabog tubig, si kuya kay maglimpyog balay, and si ate tigugas plato ug magbantay kay bunso. So there is a division of work force or work to do. So the third one is the people. So these are the members of the organization with their attitudes and values. So very understandable na kaayon no. Dili matawag nga organization ang organization kung walay engagement sa members or the people. So same sa fact that a family cannot be called a family kung mama lang ang naa, walay anak or papa nga mag-build sa foundation ani. Or sa business aspect or sa business something like that, how can we call a business or how can we call business a business kung walay owner, di ba? Kung walay employees, so that is that. The last one is the technology. So the technology refers to the tools, equipment, and technique used in performance of the task. So importante sad nga na technology in a system because a system works best if na equipment, gadgets, tools, and such na may na mag-assist sa ilaha to do a certain task. So referring to the figure shown, na ay benefits ang systems approach to management. So there are four. The first one is for policy and strategy formulation, which is the creation of comprehensive and challenging plans that link functional and process inputs. The second one is for goal and target setting. So the goals and targets of individual processes are aligned with the organization's key objective. The third one is for operation management. A broader overview of the effectiveness of processes, which leads to understanding the causes of problems and timely improvement actions. And the last one is the human resource or for human resource management. So it provides a better understanding of roles and responsibilities for achieving common objectives, thereby introducing cross-functional barriers and improving. Let's move on. So the second of the key concept is central to the systems approach is the concept of holism. So holism, in other words, it refers to the parts of a whole that have intimidated interconnection, in which one cannot independently exist or cannot be easily understood without referring to that wholeness. So, this means no single parts of the subsystem can be analyzed independently without considering all parts together. So, it is a way of looking at the organization as a whole. Like I have said, dili nimo masabtan dayon ang usa ka subsystem or makamugna og iyaha without referring to all parts. Kumbaga, a subsystem is dependent to the system itself because it works as a whole. So number 3 on the key concept is a system can either open or closed. So a closed system is one where the factors outside the system do not affect the system and is independent of environment. Meanwhile, an open system is one wherein it both affects and is affected by environment and interacts with its environment. So family is an organization which is an open system and its members interact with the surrounding environment. Kumbaga, ang closed system kay kuno kay dili maapektuhan sa mga factor outside their system and they are free or malaya sila. While the open system is the one nga both makaapekto and maapektuhan sa environment. Di lang kay ingon ana maka-apekto and maapektuhan, but also naa sila interaction and communication sa usag-usa. Example here is ang family. Ang family makonsider nato siya nga open system because every member sa family kay naga-interact sa environment. Again, ang family is makonsider nato siya nga open system because every members of the family kay naga-interact rather sa environment kung asa sila ma-engage. Makaapekto and maapektuhan sad sila sa environment or society because it is just an exchange of interaction between the two, either positive or negative. The last of the key concept is every system has a boundary. So boundary can be clearly and more precisely defined in case of physical and biological systems than in case of social systems. So for example, the physical boundaries of the human body can be easily defined rather than the boundaries of an organization or the family. So the concept of these boundaries is useful in many ways. So the first one is it helps a system in determining whether it ends and the other system begins. So makabalo ta whether and nasa usa ka system because na ay boundary so that another system will emerge or begin. The second one is it divides those elements that are part of a system from those that are a part of its environment. Because of this boundary, makadistinguish ta kung kini ba nga element kay part pa ba siya sa system or dili na. Kung dili na, maybe it is part na sa environment, so na ay separation. The last is it enables a system to protect its transformation process from the vagaries of its environment. So boundaries can help the system from any vagaries or unusual things para ma-prevent ni na mga vagaries or na makakause of delay or makalangay sa transformation sa usa ka system, and to protect it also. So let's move on to management and its environment as a system. So the family itself can be recognized as having two subsystems, the psychosocial and managerial subsystems. Management in family involves the interaction with various subsystems. So these subsystems are the three environments surrounding the family. They are the household's environment, near environment, and the larger environment, which is matackled by the next reporter. So, ang family daw kay naay two subsystems, which is the psychosocial subsystem and the managerial subsystems. Since ang family management involves interaction with different subsystems, these subsystems are composed of the three environment as I have said earlier, the household environment, the near environment, and the larger environment. So the psychosocial subsystems is concerned with the expressive functions of the family, like integration or solidarity of the group, internal relations of the family members to each other, personality development, and socialization of the family members. So there is a psychosocial subsystems. It is like emotion based. So it is more on expressiveness and how you express yourself in your family by means of socialization between them. Ang pagdevelop sa imong personality, imong relation sa ila internally, and the integration or solidarity or being one of the group. The managerial subsystems is related to the instrumental functions of the family. These are concerned with goal achievement and the transactions between the group and the environments. So the instrumental activities are termed as means to ends, and hence the behavior is nothing but the managerial behavior. So diri sa managerial subsystems, mas nag-focus siya sa goal achievements and the transactions between the group and the environment. Bale, dali nga subsystems kay ginamake sure nila nga ma-direct ilang activities towards the accomplishment based sa ilahang objectives. So more on planning sila and controlling. Yes, more on controlling subsystems. So though both the subsystems have distinct functions, each system cannot exist independently. Transactions between both the subsystems are frequent and intense. So the directional arrows shown represent the input and output from one subsystem to the other and between the family and its environments. The boundaries of each environment are shown irregularly to denote that each family will determine its own environment, particularly the household and near environment. So now let's move on to the next reporter.
Good day everyone, by the way, my name is DAHAN, and now, let's move to family, the managerial unit. The family as a managerial unit interacts with other social groups and or the environment around it, performing both expressive and instrumental functions of the family. The attention of management by families is centered on the totality of family living and common goals of members and the alternative ways in which family members can be organized and resources can be utilized to achieve the family goals. So this one serves as an important function in maintaining healthy family and functioning. So instrumental rules are concerned with the provision of physical resources, for example, foods, clothing, and shelter. Also decision-making and family management. The effective rules exist to provide emotional support and encouragement to the family members. So, most of the resources have alternative uses. It is essential to view the standpoint of the family as a whole while allocating the resources rather than relating to one as an individual member of the family. Focusing on family as the managerial unit implies then the decision made are feasible for group. This should be a democratic decision-making process where all family members are involved. It is an effective means for committing family members to the family goals, and it provides an invaluable opportunity for every family members to learn through participation. Okay, so family has bonding time builds that builds their confidence, like teaches children about interacting with others and create wonderful memories that last a lifetime. Secondarily, studies show that when families spend quality time together, the chance of children getting involved in dangerous activities drops dramatically. The family involvement serves to promote and support the social, emotional, and physical, academic, and occupational growth of the youth. Successful family involvement relies on meaningful collaboration among youth, families, schools, employers, and agencies. Okay, so family as a managerial unit in the system's approach to the home management is justified on the basis of its reaction to the larger system, that is community, in which it is housed or living. The family members will get good appreciation, respect, and certain status in the community only when the family lives up to the community standards of proper family life. Family resource management is only a means to an end and not an end by itself. The psychosocial aspect of the family is also very important and determine the ends chosen by the family. The management in family is concerned with all members of the family and is interwoven with the family and group relations. So, ibig sabihin, kung atong family is kanang maayo jud kaayo, like daghan og amiga, amigo, daghan og mga kaila kay tungod, ang atong family kay friendly ing ana. So daghan jud tao nga maka-appreciate sa tuwa, no? And daghan pug tao nga mo respeto sa tuwa kung kabalo pud ta mo respeto sa uban. Alang man na, diba? Mao na nga kuan kanang makadawat jud tag mga good appreciation, mga makadungog tag mga maayo gikan sa atong community, like nindot sa family nila kuan uy kay kanang just nun kaayo, maayo kayo, respetado kaayo. So mga ingana nga mga ways, mga things nga madungog nato sa uban kay lagi we live with a proper family. So if we're planning to build a family in the future, so dapat jud nga we build our family in a proper way, like magbinuotan jud ta, respeto ta sa usag-usa ingana. So okay, dili man ta maka-respect sa uban kung di nato respeto nato sa sarili. So mabuhat nato na siya if we have a good natay mayo nga pagtagad sa isig ka tao ingana siya, no? So dapat pod nga in the future atong mga anak tunduan jud nato sila mayo nga ingana mo respeto jud. So mo to siya. Okay, so next is the environment surrounding the family. 3 different environments surrounds the family as shown in the previous figure. The first one is the household environment. Next is the near environment, and last is the larger environments. Each of smaller environment are the subsystem of the next larger environment and provide a ever-enlarging setting in which the family manages. The categorization of environments is based on the relationships and activities associated with them. The transaction or exchange between the environments and the family are both ways as shown by arrows in the previous figure. So you can see that in the previous page. The transaction can be classified as first, providing resources, second, motivating or demanding action. So this one is the transaction will be in the form of either human efforts like physical, mental, emotional, natural, and technical, or material objects, money, or information. The family should know its needs and should be aware of the resources in the environment and should recognize the effects of their own behavior on the environment. So the family environment involves the circumstances and social climate conditions within families. Since each family is made up of different individuals in a different setting, each family environment is unique. So there are kind of environmental factors that supports the family members. So environmental factors with a bearing vulnerability operate at the both family and community levels. Contributory factors includes material deprivation, poor parental health, low parental education, family stress, exposure to intimate partner violence, neighborhood deprivation, and poor school environment. So, in providing resources, the needs of a family may not be met because necessary resources are not available. In other cases, if a resource is limited, the family may have to pay more to get that resource than if it were plentiful. The availability and accessibility of resources greatly influence how they are used. So Next is the household environment or microenvironment. This is the most immediate and intimate environment of the family. The family has control over this environment, and the family values are easily reflected in this environment. The set of relationships, goals, and needs among its members in the family are important in this environment. The household environment provides certain resources and generates forces which necessitate management on the part of the family. The routine activities of the members of the family are developed around the characteristics of the household environment. So microenvironment is defined as the nearby environment under which the firm operates. Macroenvironment refers to the general environment that can affect the working of all business enterprises. The microenvironment includes customers, suppliers, resellers, competitors, and general public. And now we have the near environment. The relationship or the transactions between the household environment and the near environment is somewhat fluid and varies from family to family. This environment extends beyond the household and bigger than the household environment. It requires more adaptation and adjustment by the family members. This environment includes the groups in business, educational, religious, medical, political, and recreational domains with which the family members are interacting and associated regularly. Two families living in the same area may belong to different religious or organizations or work areas which will have different type of lifestyle in the family. Near environment consists of all entities with which the company interacts with competitors, customers, and stakeholders. And the near environment is usually contrasted to the far environment. So that's all.
So now we will continue Ms. Dahan's report. So one of the environment that surrounds the family is the larger environment. And when we talk about larger environment, it extends from the near environment to as for us, the family interacts even occasionally. The area of larger environment of a family depends again on many factors like educational and socio-economic status of family, culture, and the proximity of friends and relatives of the family members. So this means that even though the family is unconscious of its larger environment, the environment may have significant and direct influences upon the family. Thus, all of the influences and factors that affect the well-being of an individual are due to its physical surrounding as well as the educational, socio-cultural, and economic. So let's see, for example, the family may not be aware of the government program on support for the pregnant and lactating mothers, but it improves the health status of the pregnant and lactating mothers of each family in rural areas. So that indicates that the socio-economic status affects the family stability, including parenting practices and developmental outcomes for children. So the culture always provides specific ways for satisfying the generalized human needs and wants. The larger environment affects the family by determining the values and providing resources. In democratic society, political system provides the freedom of expression and actions, but also demands for a responsible participation of people in the society. So how does the culture satisfies the human needs and wants? So the culture exists to satisfy the needs of people within the society due to the fact that it offers order, direction, and guidance in all phases of human problem solving by providing methods of satisfying psychological, personal, and social needs. All in all, the family as a managerial unit has to understand its interaction with various surrounding environments and has to use the resources sensibly to achieve the family goals and derive maximum satisfaction to the family members. So, why does the family needs to understand the environment? So one of the main reason why the family needs to understand the environment because family creates the building blocks as a child needs in order to go out and face the world. So as a child is forming their own sense of self, the attitudes and the values of the parents will influence the child. So let's see for example, the first relationship we form with our family sets the standards we seek when forming new relationship. So if the family members treat their child with respect, then the child offers a good communication, act positively, and then the child will also seek these qualities out in their other relationships. So why do we reduce consumption of resources? So as we all know, resources are quite significant. Thus, we need to reduce the use of these resources to protect our mankind and the environment. Furthermore, this will also help in securing the future for our future generation. So now, we will discuss the management and changes in the environment. Families show remarkable resilience to the changes in the environment. They respond in several ways. So by adjusting temporarily to external forces. There are several kinds of external forces that family might face. These are demographic, social, political, technological, and economic. So let's see for example, demographic and economic. So the person has to accept lower paying job because of change in the organization where he worked. To meet this new crisis, the family may shift to other locality where the wife will get some job. The second one is by moving to more congenial surrounding for education of the children or to avoid social pressure due to some reason. So this opens the idea of living in a nomadic way, wherein we have the capability to move in a certain place to have a decent life and job. Lastly, by recognizing the family system to cope up with an unexpected change in the environment, such as natural catastrophe.
Now we will move to the next topic, which is the functions of manager. But let's find out first, what is manager? A manager is the one who is mainly responsible and accountable for accomplishing the specific goals or objectives in a particular group. When we say responsible, he or she will be the one who will make sure that everything is in according to plan and everything is working according to their task. And accountable, that if there will be some mistakes, he or she must be the first one to be accountable and to make sure that he or she will do everything to make it right. And he or she will do everything to meet the expectation or the goals. For example, in the classroom, di ba, yung teacher, ang manager sa classroom. So the teacher will be the one who makes sure that every student's doing their task properly and accordingly. If there will be some mistakes, or say for example, when your class committed a mistakes against the rule of the classroom or school, so you will be the person to be called because they are the manager inside the classroom. The success of a manager depends entirely upon how well she uses the management qualities discussed in the last chapter to achieve the family goals. Now, let us discuss the functions that a manager performs in any organization. In any organizations, there are some functions which every manager has to perform. These functions are integral part of any management process. If a person wishes to apply the process of management to any activity, he or she will have to perform these functions. So first in the list is decision making. It is an integral part of any management process. A manager has to take series of decisions from the very beginning till the end of the process or till the time the goals are achieved. Decision making is also called as the crux of management. So decision making is the process of identifying problems and opportunities and then resolving them. We have our daily life decisions, di ba? And it gives us opportunities to become better at what we do. Like everyone else, you see the one who is responsible, the manager, has to take series of decision from the very beginning till the end of the process or till the time the goals are achieved. So decision making is perhaps the most important component of a manager's activities. Why? because it plays the most important role in the planning process. When the managers plan, they decide on many matters as what goals their organization will pursue, what resources they will use, and who will perform each required task. When you make big decisions, follow the 7 steps of the decision-making process. First is define the problem. Second is establish the goals. Third, identify resources. Fourth, consider the alternatives. Fifth, make a decision. Sixth, implement the decision. Lastly, 7, evaluate the results. Next is planning. Planning is a process of predetermining the course of action. It involves selecting the best course of action in advance. Every manager has to decide well in advance what is to be done, how, and by whom. So, planning, it creates a detailed action plan aimed at some organizational goal. It is a process of looking forward. It is basically in the present about the future objectives, and it helps in determining the course of action to be followed for those achieving organizational goals. So every manager has to decide well in advance what is to be done, how, and by whom. In short, planning depends on the mental state of the manager. It is the process that involves thinking before doing something. It is identifying what you want when you achieve it and how achieve. As you can see the picture, how does a manager plan? First is establish objectives down to develop strategies, establish policies, develop program for accomplishments, establish schedules and budgets, establish procedures, identify potential problems, develop preventive and contingent action, coordinate throughout the planning, and determining planning. Next is organizing. Organizing, this function of manager involves classifying the activities listed in the plan and delegating them to people who would best be able to do them. The manager has to identify the appropriate human resource and allocate tasks to them. This function implements the planning that have been done earlier. So, organizing, it is called the backbone of management. Organizing is grouping of activities together. The manager also has the right to choose who can do it most efficiently and organize. Classify the activities listed in the plan and assign tasks to them. So the purpose of organizing is to guide, direct, arrange, coordinate, and control the activities or to accomplish the work of organizational goals. So manager, he or she organize. It is not only in the family that organize, diba? Or in the school, diba? Si teacher, organize sa kanyang paggawa ng lesson plans, reports, at iba pa. They are not the only ones who should organize, but also the managers who should organize them to carry out the tasks in the best possible way.
So hello guys, hello everyone. This is just a continuation of our topic discussed by the previous reporter. So functions of manager. So one of the function of being a manager is to lead. Since you can able to manage something, if you continue it, you may also lead something because you manage it well. So leading, in this function, a manager has to gain cooperation of the subordinate and the family members and motivate them towards the goals. So since manager man ka, so you are able to lead your family members towards their goal. Syempre, isa ka manager, isa ka family, tapos dili mo sila ka ng suportaan sa ilang goal. So lain dili ka dapat manager. So to lead, a manager must first understand the attitudes, philosophy, values and behavior of each member of the organization or a family. So ibutang na to siya sa business. Di ba ang isa ka manager is dili na siya magpataka og kanang kuha og tao nga feeling nga dili siya ka handle sa iyang trabaho nga ma-assign. So parehas ka pa siya sa isa family. To lead, a manager must first understand the attitude. Dapat kabalo ka sa attitude sa imong members sa imong family. Nga kani siya kay kuan dili ka na siya mahinatagon, so kailangan mo na siya tudluan kung unsa para mahinatagon siya. Mas kani siya is kanang something inana. So then she will influence them to shape a desirable social system within the organization or the family. So iya as a manager, i-influence nimo or hulmahon nimo ang isa ka kanang member nga kanang dili sakto ang iyang attitude para nga maabot ang time nga kanang pag wala na ka kabalo na siya kung unsaon pag-handle sa kana nga problem, if ever problem na. So the manager has to do this by guiding them and motivating them to improve their organizational effectiveness. So mao ito sa as a manager, you're able to guide and motivate your members. So, the manager is also responsible for creating favorable environment for performance. While doing so, she will establish relationship between self and subordinate and family members. So, as a manager, dili lang kanang self-love imong buhaton or kanang selfish discipline selfish decision imong buhaton. So, dapat magbase sad ka og nakay dapat relationship sa co-members nimo. Kaya basin dili sila ganahan sa inanan imong decision. So, syempre mag-base mo kasi mo para kung ibutan sa family para maging successful mo na family and then ma-achieve ninyo ang inyong kanya-kanyang goals. So, an effective and efficient leader will be successful manager as well. So, next slide. So, one of the function of being a manager is able to control. So, this is also the function of being manager, to have a control. So, controlling is correcting deviations on time. This function of a manager involves identification of problems and discrepancies from the plan of action and taking measures on time to correct them. So, since manager man ka, you are able to control your members and then, syempre, na-control man mo sila. Pag naay ka ng problem, dali na rin mo na sila ma-identify kung unsa ang plano na imong buhaton o kung unsa imong solution para solve na nga problem. So, it involves measuring performance against preset goals. An effective manager builds control standards while planning and clearly states them to the subordinate or family members. So, as a manager, while ga-build ka o ganang standard sa isa ka sa isa ka family or kanang ga-plano ka or napaka sa planning stage, syempre, sa imong mind is makontrol mo na sila while imo na silang while gabuhat ka na nga butang kanang gaplano ka and then kanang gina-measure pa nimo kung unsa ang ilang performance. This also acts as guidelines for subordinate or family members and acts as an appraisal system for the manager. The control function is the most effective way of cutting cost losses incurred by errors. So, pag once na kay control sa isa ka butang, so malikayan nimo ang mga butang nga dapat dili mahitabo para sa cutting costs and losses incurred by errors. So, thus every manager uses certain control devices like budgeting, inspections, record keeping, and maintaining attendance and etc. So, mo ni siya ang example sa mga pag-control sa isa ka business or butang to as a family. Ang pag-budget, ang pag-inspect kung kumusta na yung mga butang sa business, kumusta na yung mga members or sa family, kumusta na yung mga kauban sa balay, record keeping and maintaining attendance, kumusta sila na something na. Kaya syempre na maki-control. Control is essential since the activities are pre-planned and the activities are to be performed according to the plan. So, nama kay plan. So, essential jud ang control. So, though all managers perform these functions, they can be differentiated by the way they perform these functions. Let us now have a look at the various types of manager found in the organization. Bitaw kaning tinuod yun siya kanang though kanang gi-apply na sa ubang managers ang kaning ani nga function, but depende yun na sa pag dala nila sa isa ka butang. Na uban nga kanang gigamit nila ni gi-apply na nila pero kanang napalpak something na. So, next one is positive homemaking. So, what is positive homemaking? So, a positive homemaking is one that supports your lifestyle. Consider what sort of things cause friction between family members or add frustration to your life, and you also look for solution. So, the fundamentals of positive homemaking are discussed here to be an efficient and effective home manager. So, the first one is the attitude. You may not necessarily be the best at every aspect of homemaking. So, guys, remember, to have a positive homemaking, dapat kabalo ka sa imong attitude. Since tama kay control, siyempre dapat kontrolon po nimo imong attitude kung unsa man na. Dapat suit siya sa tanan sa members mong family para masabayan kanila og kanang dili sila kanang do na sila kahadlok pero kanang mahadlok sila pero kanang makasabot sila nganong nahadlok sa imo kay tungod na kay attitude ngayon ana. So imo silang pasabto na something na. So, and you may not enjoy every part of it. Who does? Still, you can find fulfillment in homemaking because you know that through it you demonstrate love for your family. Since napakita ka ng tinuod nimo nga attitude ug di ka gusto nga kanang mugawas ang imong mga tinaguang attitude. Syempre, ang imong ipakita nga attitude is kanang suit sa imong family and kanang maka-feel sila nga love nimo sila. So, this doesn't mean that you must single-handedly complete all household tasks. O, di ba? Especially if you are short on time. So, dili siya napasabot nga kanang pagpasabot sa imong family nga, uy, kani nindot kini siya attitude. Kinabuhat niya tanan ang tanang buhatonon di sa balay. So, dili na siya nana. So, the virtuous woman described in Proverbs 31, which is basahan 26. So, she is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her child arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpasses them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the reward she has earned, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. So, dito ka siya nga story nga masunurin jud kay kaning virtuous woman na gi-describe sa Proverbs 31. Anyway, kanang ang pasabot ini is kanang iyang gipakita ang iyang tinuod nga attitude og syempre gipagawas ang tinuod nga attitude karapat dapat siyang i-praise. Syempre dapat siya kahadlok sa Ginoo. So, there is no shame in hiring domestic help if circumstances and finances allow for it, or in finding faster, more efficient ways of doing housework. So, mo to ingon nga kanang dili nga pasabot nga kanang paggawas kag attitude is buhaton nimo tanan mong task sa balay. Namo kay kauban sa balay, which is kanang mga bata imong kauban, di ba kanang naiuban nga kanang ginasugo sila, bata pa sila nga nako silingan diri share ko lang kanang ginapabomba siya sa iyang papa niya, bata pa kay siya, so mao na makatabang siya sa ilang household bisag bata pa siya. That's all guys, thank you guys. So, awareness. If you were not taught the specifics of caring for a home, don't despair. Some of today's most competent homemakers are self-taught. So, pag wala ka kabalo, kung bata pa ka kung unsa ang specific na pag-care sa isa ka home, ayaw ka bala ka. Kay kusa ra na siya mo abot. O kusa ra na mo siya matun-an. So, they found books on good housekeeping techniques. They asked older women for advice, and they learned through trial and error. Check your library for books or magazines that address homemaking specifics. So, pag namoy ka ng books dira sa inyong mga balay, or even sa library nga inyong atuon, so, kung gusto mo makabalo sa mga housekeeping techniques, so, scan lang. There are also numerous internet sites that can assist with cleaning and general housekeeping issues. So the Bible says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Develop a keen housekeeper's eye. Train yourself to notice what needs to be done. Think about what you're doing and how you can do it more efficiently, instead of doing something a certain way simply because that's how your friends do it. Create homemaking solutions that work for you and your family. So, syempre, to have a positive homemaking, so dapat aware ka sa imong mga buhatonon. Aware ka sa imong dapat buhaton, ug aware ka sa imong dili dapat buhaton nga ipakita sa member sa imong family. So, that's it guys. Thank you guys for listening. God bless you.
So let me continue the discussion about positive homemaking. Number 3, simplification. When we say simplification, it means making things simpler or easier to do. If you're feeling exhausted by the end of the week because there aren't enough hours in your day, it may be time to simplify your lifestyle. Okay, so yes, naadyoy adlaw no nakapuyunta, and we sometimes think na unsa kaha akong nindot na buhat nun para di masayang akong free time karon adlaw. And you decide na nganong lisud-lisudon man ako ni akong kinabuhi nga naaman nya naa man tay sayon nga solution. Why not nga manglimpyo na lang di ay ko. Like for example, decluttering your room, pangwaon to nimo mga things na feel nimo di na nimo kailangan, or anything that you keep that doesn't have value anymore and ibilin to nimo mga things na naa pa jay purpose and magamit pa nimo. With that, malimpyo pa imong balay o makadagdag space pa jud siya. Okay, so it takes longer to clean a shelf within 20 knickknacks on it than a shelf with several well-chosen pieces. Meals can also be simplified. It's fun to create elaborate meals, but they are not necessary, especially if your family is happy with simpler dishes. So meals. So kinino, nindot man na daghan kag ma-prepare na mga foods sa imong family, but it's not necessary na maghanda jud kag bongga jud kaayo, like lapag na tanang putahi diha and di ay kakabalo na mas gusto sa imong family ang simpleng salo-salo lang. Bahala gamay ang foods basta kay sakto lang, walay masobra o walay masayang. Simplify your expectations and desire. No need to compete kung kinsa ang mas nindot o kinabuhi sa imong mga silingan. Dili magpaas if nadato kay ka, pero sa tinuod di ay average lang ka. Dili ka dato, dili pud ka pobre. Daghan man ang ways to make your home beautiful. No need to buy expensive things na di kaya sa imong budget. Buy those things na feel nimo makatabang sa imong family and affordable and nindot siya. Okay, so simplify household tasks. If you were thought that the only way to clean a kitchen floor is to scrub with a sponge, but you don't have time for that at this stage in your life, don't feel guilty about using a mop. Okay, so simplify household tasks. Like for example, diri kung ikaw gituluan sa uban na ang only way to clean the kitchen floor is through scrubbing with a sponge and feel nimo mas lisod og hago siya na work and also mas murag madugay pud ka nga naa ra man tay sayon, which is naa kay map. So gamiton nimo siya para mas kay kuno gud siya, mas dali siya gamiton and maka-save pa kag oras sa pagpaglimpyo. So makita nato no na anong lisod-lisodon man nimo imong self naa ra man untay sayon na way para masulbad ang usa ka butang. Okay, so next. Okay, number 4, organization. Organization is a vital part of efficient, stress-free homemaking. Organize your things. Like for example, manglimpyo ka and naay ubang things na di kay nimo ginagamit and sayangan pud ka na ilabay to siya. So here's the solution. Pwede ka mo palit og mga boxes para isulod to nimong dili kay nimo ginagamit na things. And by that, but nga nimo siya label para mahibal-an bitaw kung unsay sulod sa box. With that, this is a great way to organize things within your house. Pwede siya nimo ibutang ang mga boxes sa inyong garage or sa ilalom sa inyong katri kung naa mo garage or sa mas preferred nimo na place na pwede ibut niyan sa mga boxes as long as kanang na-organize bitaw nimo siya. Okay? Organize work and commitments. In other words, have a schedule. If you're a list maker, you probably already have a functional schedule. If you're not a list maker, you can still benefit from scheduling. So, it's also an important thing ang mag-schedule. Kay para ma-organize nimo imong gustong buhaton. Kantahay, karon na adlaw manglimpyo ko and pagkasunod adlaw magbuhat ko ani sa akong work. Nya ilista bitaw nimo siya kung anang parehas nang maghimo ka schedule chart nimo. With it, by making a list, it can benefit you not to procrastinate and to kick your cramming habit kung hapit na ang deadline sa task. Through scheduling kasi ma-balance nimo imong mga buluhaton between sa imong work and sa trabahoon sa balay, because this will provide peace of mind that can help you enjoy homemaking. Okay, next. When implementing a schedule, it is important to maintain an attitude of flexibility. It means you're able to quickly adapt when unexpected things occur every day. Ayaw ko paglaom kung ano mo nabuhat ang isa ka task. Pwede man nimo i-reschedule imo mga na-miss na trabahoon. Taora man gihapunta na maka-encounter og unexpected turn of events na ara na sa atoa unsa man to pag-manage o pagsulbad sa usa ka butang. Okay? Number 5, action. The most vital aspect of good housekeeping is to actually do the work. All the organizing and planning in the world will only be effective if you roll up your sleeves and do what needs to be done. So yes, kana jud no, do the actual work. Dili lang kay sa pag-organize and plano ra kataman. Kung sa ato pa, kung maligo ganig dagat, ayaw nang sa plano ra taman, tumanon unta dapat kay mahog na madrawing ra ang plano. Back to the topic no, kung unsay itong na plano nimo karon adlaw, tumana and liho ka. Find a system that works from you. Kung morning person ka, complete the task in the morning. Kung afternoon person ka, liho ka ang buluhaton in the afternoon. Same goes pag evening person ka. Set the time kung feel nimo asa ka mas comfortable lihokon ang isa ka task. Lastly, number 6, balance. Strive for balance in your life. Taking care of physical housekeeping tasks is important, but relationships are more important. Yes, strive for balance in your life. When we talk about work, tagaan nato nag-time. Also, tagaan po nato time ang atong family para ma-maintain gihapon nato ang strong bond sa atong family. Pa-feel nato sa ilaha na mas importante sila. Dili kay sa work na lang nimo ilaan imong time. Purpose to have a home for your family, not a family for your home. So we're done discussing our report and now it's activity time. So number 1, what are some household tasks that you do in your house? Mas pila lang inyong ibutang diri guys. Then sa number 2, give at least 2 tips to create a positive home environment. So asa man ninyo ibutang inyong answer? Ipasa lang ninyo sa GC. I-type ba ninyo or isulat ba ninyo sa papel? So good luck and thank you for listening to our report. Thank you everyone.